back in 2020, when Mercedes replaced the CLA with the A-Class limousine, it seemed like a smart choice. The car was spacious, it was more practical, and it was a bit more economical too. But many felt maybe Mercedes played it a bit too safe. Well, the A-Class felt like it was a good car, but it lacked character, which the CLA, despite its flaws, had in immense. For people like me, that Mercedes has decided to bring back the CLA. And the first CLA that has come to the Indian shores is electric. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Car and Bike. I am Seshan Vijay Raghavan, and this right here is the new 2026 Mercedes-Benz CLA Electric. Now, the looks of the new CLA Electric is taken from the concept that we saw a couple of years ago, and most of it, or most of the character lines, have been retained. And frankly, I will tell you that I wasn't a big fan of the way the previous CLA looked, but this one seems a bit more attractive to me. You let us know in the comments what do you think about it. What I particularly like is this being an EV has the illuminated grille with the three-pointed star, which are also illuminated. And to tell you, there are 142 illuminated lights over here. With that, you have the connecting DRL as well. And what's really attractive is that you have this three-pointed star pattern on the lights itself, and that is something that really puts a different mark on the way the car looks. And this has been replicated at the tail lamps as well, which is also all LED, of course. And then you have these nice piano black finish around the bumpers that add a bit of sportiness. You have this nice fin like design which gives it a lot more character, a bit more sportiness. Then of course you have the wheels. You have the AMG spec wheels, so you have the AMG line trim over here, and with that you have the AMG wheels with this dual tone pattern. These are of course 18-inch in size. Now, one of the things that the previous CLA lacked was space inside the cabin. It felt a bit too compact, and maybe it could have done with a bit more stability too. And these are the things that were addressed with the new CLA, and with that, Mercedes has built it on an all-new platform, which is Mercedes-Benz Modular Architecture (MMA), and it is a skateboard architecture and electric first. So it is a ground-up EV, but the platform is flexible. So the company will be able to offer ICE vehicles too on this platform, which means that an ICE-powered CLA 2 might be on the cards for Indian market. Now, what that has also done is improved the size of the vehicle. So it is now longer, about 34 mm longer. It is also 25 mm wider, and the wheelbase has gone up by 61 mm. So yes, that has liberated more space inside the cabin, but more on that a bit later. Now, one thing that I am not a big fan of, and the CLA still gets it, is flush fitted door handles. Now, you will see that this is a premium feature. A lot of people do like it, but in a lot of markets, this has been, due to safety concerns, is now being banned. And we think that these things will come to the Indian market too. But for now, the CLA can have it, and it does have it. So if you are a fan of it, you will too like it. Now, while the CLA is a four-door sedan, it is still a coupe. So you have some sporty elements. Firstly, rimless windows, which I particularly like. But if you come closer, I'll quickly show you one thing that is something you might like or you might don't. There are two buttons over here for the windows, and if you want to access the rear windows, then you will have a button over here that you need to press, and then you can lower the rear windows. Now, this is a nice sporty touch. Practicality wise might not be that much, but still I quite like it. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments. Now, another unique aspect that intrigues me is that the CLA Electric is the first electric vehicle from Mercedes in India which does not come with a kill switch button. Now, usually you will see that all EVs from Mercedes, like ICE vehicles, come with an engine start stop or power button. This doesn't come with one. So if you need to start the car, what do? So you simply press the brakes and put it on drive, and the car comes to life. And now I come to one of the biggest changes with this new CLA, and that is the cabin. Now you will see that this gets a completely new redesigned look. In fact, compared to a lot of other EVs which get this standard layout of dashboard with triple screens or dual screens, this has a different design. You have that one panel design, but it is different. It is a bit more flatter, it is a bit more upright, and that is good because you also have this nice big screen over here that acts as your main command center. And there is more to it than it looks. It's not just a simple infotainment screen. In fact, it is powered by Nvidia, so it has a lot of computing power which it needs, because as I mentioned earlier, this is one of the smartest Mercedes out there.
I could throw around terms like chip to cloud architecture, high performance control units, or custom UI UX. But what it really means is this CLA Electric feels like a flagship smartphone on wheels. You get a smarter voice assistant, ChatGPT and Google Gemini integration, and a new MB.OS operating system to run the show smoothly.
I'll tell you one thing about this new system is that it is very much user friendly. It is clean, it is crisp. You have all the nice tiles which are big and bold, and you also have this internal camera over here, so which also acts as a facial recognition device. So yes, one of the smart features that this CLA Electric has is this camera detects your face once you get inside the car, and will adjust all its memory settings based on facial recognition. So that is something that we don't get to see in cars. Now, one of the many things that this infotainment screen has to offer also includes a bunch of app suites which include your digital streaming websites. You have the audio streaming apps as well, like Spotify, Audibles, and Amazon Music. You also have productivity apps like Teams meeting, calendar, and notes. Then you have a nice gaming console as well, which over here you have a bunch of games like Angry Birds and all. And you will need internet to access all these. Like, you can use a dongle device like this, or connect your phone, use it as a hotspot. And you can also use a proper gaming controller to play these games. And of course, it goes without saying that all these functions will work when the car is stationary and not when it is in motion. Now, that was about the tech, but what about comfort? Well, I quite like this layout. You have these nice sporty seats which come with these dual tone black and white treatment with Alcantara finish and leatherette material. You have this contrast red stitching that go with the exterior color. A lot of sporty elements. I quite like it. It has nice bolstering. It hugs you nicely. But what I don't like is the fact that you do not get ventilation function even as an option. You get heated seats, but in a country like India where the weather is mostly hot, they don't make much sense. Also, the fact that you do not have any controls, button controls for the seats. Now, of course, you have this on the door panels which can be used to adjust the seat position. But say you want to activate the heating function, or you want to adjust the bolstering, you want to adjust the lumbar support, everything needs to be done through the screen, and that is something I don't like. You need some buttons for such important functions. And this being an EV architecture, you have lots of space over here underneath as well, so you can have some storage over here. You have a nice wireless charger over here. There is more storage over here. There is a proper dedicated key compartment, a dashboard, glove box over here as well, which is a bit too small. I feel it could have been a bit larger to store more stuff. And of course, a crowd favorite, you do have a panoramic glass roof, no sunroof over here, but I quite like this. I feel this is a better option than having a sunroof. But one thing I don't like is that you do not have curtains, so you will have to bear some of the extreme heat that our country is prone to. Although these are heavily tinted, so you this are insulated, so you won't feel that much. But adding curtains would have improved the overall cabin experience in my books. Now, once you come to the rear seat, is when you start seeing some of the flaws that come with an EV architecture. Firstly, because of the battery pack that is laid underneath, the floor is high, so you sit a bit knees up, so you don't get much under thigh support over here. And also this is still compact, so you can have two people sitting over here in comfort. Having three will be a tight squeeze despite the flat floor. You do have dual AC vents over here with two more type C USB ports for your devices, but as I mentioned, this is designed to be a sporty car, so the rear seat comfort is not really paid much attention to. These there here you get the basics, but there are some things I don't like. Firstly, as I mentioned, you do sit a bit up, knees up. Also, the windows don't go all the way down, they only go halfway down. Now, the smartness of the CLA Electric also supports the driving experience, and the ADAS has a lot of hand in that. Now, what you get over here is an advanced level 2 driver assistance system, and the car itself is surrounded by up to 7 cameras on the outside. There is additional cameras inside the car as well for some of the in-car functions that I spoke about earlier, like the one at the center. In addition to that, you have a lot of ADAS functions like lane departure warning and assist. Then you have the front collision warning and avoidance assist. Of course, there is rear traffic collision avoidance assist, and you have a very nice 360-degree view camera. In addition to that, there are a lot of active and passive safety features that you will find on your screen right now. Now, coming to the performance aspect, the CLA Electric is offered globally in two versions. One is the 250 Plus, which has come to India, and there is a 300 4MATIC as well, which comes with an all-wheel drive with dual motor setup. So yes, I would have loved to see that in India, but this 250 Plus is not bad either.
And why would it be? Even with its single motor setup, the CLA 250 Plus produces over 268 brake horsepower and 335 Newton meter of peak torque. Those are serious numbers for an entry electric sedan. And if that doesn't impress you, it can do the 0 to 100 kmph sprint in 6.7 seconds.
All that torque is available from the word go. A slight push on that pedal and the car just launches ahead, and fun is had. The performance is good and measured. The car doesn't feel heavy despite its size, and it feels quick on its toes. And that is what you want from a nice sporty car. Of course, you have Mercedes' dynamic select as well. While the default mode is comfort, which is the one that I am driving it right now, you have an eco mode, there is a sports mode, and then there is the individual mode where you can adjust the settings according to your preference. Now, in sports mode, of course, this car becomes a bit more agile. All that power and torque is available in an instant, and it feels a lot more engaging. In eco mode, of course, if you want to conserve the battery, that is where it comes to use. But in most cases, the comfort mode does a fine job. One thing that I love about the CLA is that Mercedes offers an audio package with this car. So as you can hear right now, you might be able to, when I floor the throttle, you hear that artificial exhaust noise. Now, I know it's artificial, but it does put a smile on the face whenever you try to push the car. And that is something that in this day and age of electric vehicles, I am getting used to. Now, the one thing with EVs is that getting that right drivability is a challenge, and very few manufacturers have been able to do that. And I think Mercedes has cracked that code. Yes, it is a bit on the stiffer side, but it is not uncomfortable. You do feel some of the bigger bumps and undulations on the road, but the smaller ones, it takes care of them quite nicely. But the handling of this car makes up for it. The steering has a nice heft to it. In fact, you won't feel that you are driving an EV. It has a nice feedback, and it reacts to your steering inputs quite nicely. And that acceleration is simply a cherry on the cake. Now, performance aside, this is an EV after all, so we have to talk about range, and that is where the 85.5 kilowatt hour battery pack comes into play. Now, this is a single motor setup, as I mentioned earlier, and that is a fine setup. In fact, Because of that, you get more range with this car, and the figure is 792 kilometers on a single charge. That is not a small number, and plus this is on the WLTP cycle, so you can expect real world figure which will be more than 600 kilometers on a single charge, of course. Now, is that enough? I feel yes, you don't need anything more than that if you are buying an EV and this is going to be your only car in your garage. And the performance that comes with it does make up for all the small flaws that we spoke about earlier throughout this video. But Mercedes hasn't stopped with just range. As I mentioned earlier, this car is built on an 800 volt architecture, EV architecture, which also supports quick fast charging. So if you have access to DC fast chargers, then you can get more than 400 kilometers on range with just about 20 minutes of charging. But you will need a high voltage charger for it, somewhere at least 260 kilowatt charger. In fact, this car also supports 320 kilowatt of fast charging. However, the accessibility to such chargers is quite low right now, so we will have to wait and see when we can access such kind of chargers and get those numbers. The new CLA Electric has a lot going for itself. The new platform, the looks are stunning, the car is loaded with smart features and tech, and then you have that range. Performance is good too, but that range, 792 kilometers of claimed range on the WLTP cycle. And all this put together, you can see that Mercedes has a solid product right now for the Indian market. And with the arrival of the new CLA, this certainly is something that I appreciate. Now, all that remains to be known is the price of this car, and that will be announced soon. But that will put that final seal about how the Indian consumers will see the new avatar of CLA as. And that will also dictate the future of the CLA in India. Will we get to see the all-wheel version of this electric sedan? When will the petrol or diesel version of this sedan come to the market? All this will be dictated once the price of the new CLA 250 plus comes. If you have any more questions about it, you can put them down in the comments. If you like this, do give it a thumbs up and share it with fellow enthusiasts. And for more such videos, keep following Car and Bike.